And welcome back to the Millstone Family Restaurant. It's another episode of our From the Bench podcast here on KDSJ Sports as we continue our summer series of our podcast here on KDSJ-TV on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. I'm your host, Clayson Davis, as always, former Black Hill State University Yellow Jackets and producer of KDSJ-TV, part of the KDSJ Sports crew. And, of course, joining us behind camera number 2, as always, Paul James from Eagle Country, 95.9 and 96.3, our sister station, who also does a lot of work with KDSJ-TV as well. As we've been doing a lot of baseball over the past few weeks to start off our summer series, let's take a break from baseball. We'll have more of that coming up later on today on KDSJ Sports. And we have Black Hill State University Rodeo taking the spotlight for this week's episode as they are about ready to head to Casper, Wyoming for the National College Rodeo Finals coming up here next week. And head coach of Black Hill State University Rodeo, Coach Glen Lammers, joins us on the show. Coach, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity, Clayson. Good to be here.
As, again, Coach Lammers, the head coach of Black Hill State University Rodeo, who has been a force in the Great Plains region ever since Lammers, you took over. I mean, you guys have really been one of the main focal points as far as the Great Plains region and the team standings, mainly the women's side, but also on the men's side, you guys have had a few good teams as well. As, again, you guys getting ready to pack up and head to Casper. Not a super long trip from BH, probably a lot shorter than what other colleges and regions will have to do. Sure. But so far, what's the mindset before you guys head to Casper?
Well, yeah, it is, like you said, probably one of our shortest trips of the year, even for us within the region. So it's nice to have it kind of only about 3 hours away, and you know, it's a little less taxing on our equine partners as well as our students and such. But you know, it's been a long time, you know, almost a month and a half since our last rodeo, or regional rodeo, and so it's not a waiting game, but it's a preparation time, and for some of them it's been getting healed up a little bit. You know, we had a couple of ankle issues and different things like that, and then you know, but then it's been, you know, doing the grind again, getting prepared.
And talk a little bit about the regular season this year, Coach. I know you guys, the rodeo season, for those who don't know, is split up into kind of 2 seasons, one in the fall. You guys take a break during the winter, then you hit it again in the early to middle of spring and end off the season at the beginning of May, end of the school semester. So talk about this spring season and how you guys performed in your eyes, and what went well, and what are some rodeos you felt like you wish you could have had back?
Well, I guess reflecting on the season as a whole, I kind of like to look at it that way. And, you know, I think the way we started in the fall was really right where we wanted to be. You know, we hit the road running, was impressed with, you know, kind of collectively the whole team really was contributing. And even our freshmen, you know, they onboard really well, stepped up quickly. You know, had a really strong spring season, especially with our women's team, and kind of rebuilding on the men's side, obviously. But I guess I'm not sure if I said fall, but the fall season was really good that way. And then I think as we came into the spring season, we hit a little bit of a lull there, but we picked things back up, and I think the women's team really was strong in the last 2 rodeos. I think the Will Lantis Yellow Jacket Stampede kind of came along right when we needed it, get a little wind behind our sail there, and yeah, carried that momentum through the rest of the spring season. So it's a good time for them to hopefully be peaking.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, we had that broadcast of the Will Lantis Yellow Jacket Stampede on KDSJ-TV. And a little side note, if you guys did want to rewatch that rodeo and all the performances, we had all the slacks, we had the night performances and the short go all on our YouTube channel at KDSJ-TV. You can go back to our YouTube channel and rewatch all of those rodeos for free on KDSJ-TV under our live tab. So for those who want to rewatch Coach Lammers' crew compete, you can do that on our YouTube channel as well.
Well, we appreciate that too, Clayson. It's a great opportunity for, you know, some of the parents might be home calving or doing something like that, and they can still watch it and you know, see their sons or daughters compete. And so yeah, we really appreciate you coming out. And
like I said, we appreciate you guys having us there. It was a blast. I enjoyed it. And you guys are getting ready to head to finals. You got 6 athletes that qualified for the national finals in Casper. To run through all of them, you got Emma Ohm in the breakaway roping. That's she's actually number 2 in the entire nation in the breakaway roping and won the breakaway title in this year's Great Plains region. She's making an appearance at the College National Finals. Also got Cashier McGee, who seems like has been around for a while at BH, part of the team. She's going in the barrel racing, go tying, and is also up in the runnings in the world as far as the all-around standings go. She's also making it to Casper. You got Haley Husted in the goat tying. You got Sierra Steele in the barrel racing. And Rayleigh Fagerhog, one of your freshmen, she's also going in the goat tying as well after a strong first season. And also Jess Harper, the team roping. You got a nominee on the men's side. So as far as preparation for the finals, you guys had a little bit over a month to get rested up, like you said, with injuries, kind of give your horses a break, your equine partners, your equine athletes. And what has been the mindset as far as preparation goes, and what has been the main priorities before you guys head to Casper next week?
Well, I think it's like you said, healing up in some instances, but it's a little different for, we're probably a little bit like maybe track or something like that, where, it's really the combined, each student athlete's success really, is what determines our team success, and so they each need a little something different. And once they're healed up, it's about sharpening what they have. And I think competition is the key there, is part of the preparation, where you need to go and compete so that, you have the rust knocked off. And when you get to Casper, you got to, it's going to be requiring your best there. And so that's basically, it's still the regular practices, doing some slow work and like I said, again, the daily grind, but it's also going out and competing, and that's I think vital in the preparation process too. So that's why a lot of them, a lot of these student athletes are either at home or somewhere else right now, and starting their summer circuit with rodeos and such. And like I say, practicing. And then some of them, we've had 3 of them, I guess, come through here in the last couple days where they've been able to kind of get some reps and maybe simulate some things that would be happening or that we expect to happen when we get out there. So it's like I said, it's different for each student athlete, I think.
And also coming back here to Spearfish, they get to be under your tutelage as well, as far as kind of some last bits of advice before they head to Casper as well.
Well, and I think that the other thing too, don't mean to interject, but I think that the other thing I think about too is, 4 of these 6 student athletes have been there before, competed at the CNFR, and hopefully learned, in that process. I mean, that's what it's all about. So, want to share their experience too with our younger, our newbies, I guess, per se, and such too, so that we're all one team, but we're gonna want us to support each other that way too. And so I think they're gonna have some input to kind of help our first timers too.
And one thing I've liked that you compared to is the sport of rodeo, how it kind of compares to track and field, and in a certain amount baseball as well. As yes, it's a team sport, but each individual performance, whether it be you have a sprinter and then you have a long jumper, well, you got a calf roper, and then you also got, say, you got a steer wrestler, and then on the women's side, a breakaway roper and go tire. Yes, you can do multiple events, and even in baseball, each one, I mean, your team can't hit for you when you're at bat. So each individual performance also kind of works itself into one team for our listeners at home, as far as trying to get their mind wrapped around the concept of a rodeo team. So it's a lot of individual, and I like how you said that each kid needs something different as far as to prepare for. And especially being there at the finals, that has definitely helped out a lot. And you're no stranger to being in the finals as well, as, I mean, you got 5 national champions under your belt during your coaching career. So I guess my next question is, what does it take to win the college national finals, especially in this day and age, when everyone just seems to be getting faster and faster each year?
Well, no doubt you got to have the talent. I mean, that's a given, but pretty much everybody out there's, capable. I think mental toughness is going to be the difference maker. You're out there for, well, we're leaving today. It'll be 10 days, and a preparation day, meetings, and then starting on Sunday with the rodeo through Saturday with the short go. So it's a long time, to stay focused. And I think the difference maker a lot of times is, with mental toughness is being, there's just a fine line between being turned on or turned off when you get challenges. And when it gets hard, the ones that kind of allows them to rise up, because they get excited about that. I think that's a difference maker. I mean, those are the ones that are usually there at the end, contending for titles. So we know there's going to be challenges, and it's like I say, when we're comparing to other sports, the fact is there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. We got so many variables where the basketball hoop's not always in the same place. I mean, the calf or steer or goat or whatever you draw, has a big bearing on your competition there and how you can, what you're going to be able to accomplish. So there's a lot of variables in our sport, but it's not excuses. It's like I say, you got to rise to the challenge. And I think at the end of the day, those are the ones that are fun to watch, fun to coach. And I think, like I said, talent-wise, I think every one of the student athletes we're taking there, has that opportunity. It's a great opportunity, but how great are we going to be to the opportunity is the question. That's who's going to step up.
And you had a lot of new fresh faces on this year's team. Like I said, on the men's side, graduated a lot of talent and a lot of production from last year. And so a lot of new faces on the men's side, but even on the women's side, you also had, just to name one, Rayleigh Fagerhog, who's making the finals in her first year being a collegiate athlete. So talk about some of the fresh faces this season and how important this freshman class and all the talent you took in this year, whether that be freshmen or transfers, and how that is crucial to not only this season, but also the growth of the program coming the next few years.
Yeah, right. It definitely, the future looks bright when you can have freshmen step up and make the college finals, because that experience at the college finals, and I know I've kind of mentioned that, but the fact is you can't get it. You can't get that any other way than being there. You can watch it on TV or live stream, or you can be there and watch it, from the stands, but it's a whole different view when you're down in the dirt, and stuff. And so it's great to have a freshman like, Rayleigh be able to step up. And what impressed me with Rayleigh and Haley, those are both first timers. But one thing that they were able to accomplish is when they had to perform, they did it. The last two rodeos of the season were crucial for them to be able to make it to the finals. And I think Haley, for example, placed, I think, in the top 3 for sure, top 4 or 5 in all of the last 4 rodeos, And so, and then again, Rayleigh, kind of in a similar scenario, she stepped up that way. And another freshman that we had several of them, but another one that I think is worthy of mention is Jada Reinert from Wall. She stepped up when she had to. Did extremely well in the barrel racing at Lincoln, and it was either first or second. But Sierra Steele, who had to step up, did too. But had Sierra not stepped up, Jada takes her spot. And that's what makes a tough team, is you've got somebody knocking on the door there, and if you stub your toe, somebody's going to jump in your spot. And not in a negative way, in a positive way. The fact is it makes you rise, and I was really impressed. It was fun to watch, from the sidelines, I guess per se, at the last rodeo, to see, who's gonna make it, and so that it was good. I liked it, yeah, and I think you've got some good young talent that showed up.
Yeah, and it just kind of drives home the point of in order to prepare for the college finals, there's only one way to prepare for it, and that is to compete. As you guys have had to do that for the entire spring season, especially when it comes to the last few rodeos, and especially with Rayleigh and then also Haley Houston. Haley won the goat tying when she needed to, and the Yellow Jacket Stampede. And, just putting together runs at the very ending, and you can't do that if you're just not mentally tough and you can handle the pressure.
Well, and that's what Rayleigh, too, I was so impressed. As a freshman, at that last rodeo, she made runs that will work at the College National Finals. That's what opened my eyes, I guess, was, when she had to make a run, she was, I don't know exactly the distance was at Lincoln. I think at the College National Finals, it's 80 feet is the run. I believe it was probably a little bit longer than that at Lincoln, a little bigger indoor arena. But the fact is that she was, I want to say something like 6'3" or 4 or 5 on both runs, and those are runs that will place there. If you can do that, and so yeah, it's impressive when that happens. Like you said, when you have to, that's the difference maker. I think that's when you can see who's got the right mindset.
And as far as finding these freshmen to join your rodeo team, as far as a coaching aspect of it when it comes to recruiting, what qualities do you mainly look for when it comes to a rodeo athlete that's able to be mentally strong and compete at such a high level and just in their first year?
Well, honestly, I don't think other than you see that she made nationals, for example. Rayleigh did in the goat tying in the high school national finals. That's impressive. What I liked about her too is she also made it in the barrel racing the year prior. So she's got some experience at a national level. That's great. But I think until you get here and you're in a different environment where your parents aren't going with you to each rodeo, all of a sudden you're part of a team, there's high school rodeo teams and stuff like that, but nothing like college is your really opportunity to be on a team because you're doing a lot of stuff together. You're probably living together, you're going to class together, you're in practice together, okay, now you got, that dynamic of being able to be not only a team player, but just getting along with each other, and stuff. And she did a great job that way. But I mean, there's a lot of things you look for, but academically, of course, I'm looking for who's going to be, who's going to be successful, because you can have a world beater, in the rodeo arena, but if they're not going to take care of business in the classroom, that's not going to do us any good. So I'm also looking for that and somebody that fits our system. Academically, of course, somebody that wants what we have and offer, but also fits our system rodeo-wise, the philosophy we're after, which for me, I think that, ability you can develop, attitude. They're probably some of those things in their mindset. They're probably groomed for 18 years before I get them. So I'm looking for somebody that's coachable and wants to get better and is willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that. And I think Rayleigh was a good example of somebody that, and there was definitely others, that fit that role and fit that mold as well. But those are definitely things we're looking for. And that's, when we talk about academics, I think all 6, I believe, double check, but I think all 6 of our student athletes that qualified are 4.0 last semester, which is, I don't think I've ever had that. So,
wow.
If intelligence helps us out there, we should be in good shape, right? So no, but that was pretty impressive too. I was pleased to see that as well.
Yeah, and that's a lot of high praise coming from someone who's been here for 16 years, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I'm not counting the days, making the days count is my plan, but I don't know what that looks like. But yeah, it has been a long time, and it's been a blessing. It's been, grateful to be able to be involved in the sport and with young people, and so yeah, definitely.
And you have 5 national champions to your belts, both at Black Hill State and also at the National American University in Rapid City. So, as we continue through this episode, again, Black Hill State University Rodeo head coach Glen Lammers joining us on our From the Bench podcast. Time to get to everyone's favorite segment of the show, the Millstone Minutes. It is a quick 1-minute segment we'll go through after our break and hear from one of our sponsors. It's quick rapid-fire, responses to simple questions. If high school kids can do it, then there's really no excuse not to, but anyways,
I don't know. I'm kind of a thinker, but we'll give it a shot.
There's not much thinking that needs to come here, I promise.
Okay.
So
keep it simple.
I will. But we'll catch up the Millstone Minutes after a word from our sponsor, the Millstone Family Restaurant.
Food at a fair price. That's what you expect, and
that's what you'll get at the Millstone Family Restaurant in Spearfish. Perfect for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or to grab a bite to eat before or after the game. Choose from daily specials, and a trip to the fresh soup and salad bar is always a hit. Plus, the Millstone can accommodate larger groups, like buses or your next meeting in their private party room. So, if it's just you and a friend or the whole team, get a great meal at a great price. The Millstone Family Restaurant in Spearfish. And again, thank our sponsors for our From the Bench podcast, the Millstone Family Restaurant, and also supporting us with the Millstone Minute. So, Coach Lammers, you got a chance to kind of collect your bearings and get ready to roll for this rapid-fire segment?
Okay, you say so.
Don't worry, it will not be too terrible. So, there's only been like one person who actually got it done under a minute, so it doesn't.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't really matter if you get done with a minute, you get a crisp high five. If you don't, you miss out on the high five. That's pretty much it. So, are you ready, Coach Lammers, for the Millstone Minute?
Okay, so we got to be quick, and then
just rapid fire questions.
It's
nothing hard.
All right, all right, let's go for it.
Here we go. Millstone Minute. Dream vehicle.
Ram.
Rough stock event of choice.
Bull riding.
Favorite away rodeo.
We talking college or?
Yeah, college.
River Falls, Wisconsin.
Okay. Longest ever road trip you've taken on the rodeo trail, both as a competitor and as a coach.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. Probably Oklahoma City. We went. I'm not sure. That's off the top of my head.
Fair
enough.
Been
a while since I competed.
Favorite food?
Steak, and I like good salmon too.
Okay. What would be your alternate sport to coach?
Alternate.
Yeah.
I don't know much other than rodeo.
Fair enough. If you could visit anywhere in the world.
Rome.
Okay. Who is the best rodeo athlete you've ever coached?
Oh boy, I don't think I can pinpoint that one. There's been a lot of them.
Who is on your playlist when you're traveling? Who do you listen to the most?
Johnny Cash.
Okay. And final question. What is the snack of choice on the road trip?
Snack of choice. I guess I like fruit, so that's probably my snack.
Fair enough. Not bad.
How did I get?
You were about 5 seconds over, but you were actually not bad. That was pretty good.
Okay, well.
So that's the Millstone Minute, brought to you by the Millstone Family Restaurant, here with Coach Lammers of Black Hill State University Rodeo. So we got just a few more segments and then get you out of here so we can get ready for baseball coming up today on KDSJ-TV. Spearfish Post 164 is hosting Pier today, and we'll have that for you guys on KDSJ Sports, and you also have the finals to get ready for as well.
Correct.
Said you guys were leaving today?
Correct. Yeah, it's like say they start at I believe it's 7 in the morning. 7 or 7:30 with some preparation stuff. So rather than leaving at 3 in the morning to get over for that, we'll probably leave this afternoon.
Make the most sense. So kind of switching gears off of rodeo, what do you like to do whether you're in the off season and you're not worrying about keeping track of kids and recruiting?
Well, for me, it's getting a lot of projects done at home. My wife usually has a good list for us, but the fact is put a lot of things on the back burner for the last 3 months, and so fencing, and I don't know if you want to. We're saying, what do I like to do? I mean, and some of those projects are great to get done, but then after that, sure like to still ride and rope and ride some young horses. That's probably my biggest interest area now.
You say, if you liked fencing, I know of a family down in north central Nebraska that has a lot of fence that they need to get done. So
yeah, I didn't probably hear your question as well as I should have. What are we doing, or what do we like to do?
What do we like to do?
No, that's good. Yeah.
So I did dig up a few things as far as you're also not a highly qualified rodeo coach, but pretty good rodeo athlete in the time yourself, as you qualified for the tie-down roping and team roping in the Dodge National Circuit Finals and the PRCA Badlands Circuit Finals in the all-around and team roping. You're a 7-time Circuit Finals qualifier in the tie-down and in the team roping. So talk about really just a quick recap of your competitor days and what kind of got you fixed onto the sport of rodeo and what made you so successful.
Well, I guess started at an early age. My dad rodeoed, and that's probably the case with a lot of people in our industry. But the fact is we played other sports until we got maybe to high school. I actually grew up on the eastern side of the state, over by Sioux Falls, and went to high school in Lenox. And kind of when we got to high school, we transitioned from other sports to rodeo was your deal, I guess, and not necessarily you had to, but that's probably where we had the most opportunity, I guess. And so that's where it all started, I guess. And my dad was really kind of spearheaded really all of that, I guess. And he actually, if you know of Troy Pruitt from Nebraska, now he was a neighbor of ours. And my dad actually started him roping, and he had a lot more success. He won a world championship and that kind of thing. So he did a little more than we did, or a lot more. But the fact is, we had some, not a lot of competitors right in our area, but some good quality. So it really helped us step up that way. And then, from there, it's just what we love to do. I just love the sport, and that's why it's fun to be involved in it still. And that's really all after college rodeo, really it's where it consumed a lot of your time and thought and everything, is you were just, what can I do to get ready for my next rodeo type of deal. And so we did that for a lot of years, and then, I guess maybe kind of aged out of it or whatever, but your priorities change as you get older and such. And we got into, I was still competing when I first started coaching, because this has been, I don't know how many years ago now. I think I started in 95 or 6 or something like that. But the fact is it was great to kind of, go around and compete with, and kind of recruit through that process. And now I kind of even get, where I might have parents that I don't know and come in and that's a question when we're visiting. Well, do you ride a horse or anything? And was it, well, yeah, I used to a little bit, for 30 years I did that, and I still, but yeah, so it's you want to brag about yourself, but also got to let them know that, yeah, I've been there, done that, and sure want to share my experience to help your son or daughter and that kind of thing too. So, but yeah, that's kind of where, competing was something we loved to do. And that's one thing that it's hard to still get that, feel, I guess, or whatever, as, I love competing, and we're still riding and roping, doing things like that in a small circle now. But the fact is I get more nervous watching or coaching, I guess, our student athletes than I ever did competing, honestly, even at the highest level I competed at and such. So it's kind of neat to get that feeling too. And you're wanting them to control their nerves. So you got to be able to, to do the same. You got to be calm and be able to kind of be there for them and support them. And it's fun too, to some of the ones that have had success in the past that I can recall, being there just as a support role, probably prior to their competing, the ones that can kind of talk to you and you can tell have their bearings and their mental stability's there and such, usually kind of get done what they're capable of doing and that too. So yeah, it's been fun though. It's been a good ride.
And kind of to wrap up this episode, Coach, I mean, you've offered great insight not only to Black Hills State University Rodeo, but just the sport in general, as just for some of our listeners and watchers on KDSJ Sports, what does the sport of rodeo mean to you as a whole, as far as what it teaches, what life skills you learn from it? It's like, what does the sport of rodeo mean to you as in your tenure as a coach and as a athlete competing? Well,
I think the one natural thing that comes about is a work ethic. If you want to be any good at any sport, probably you got to have a work ethic. But for us, it's like not an option as far as like taking care of animals and they're not there to say, hey, I need some feed or water or whatever. So taking care of them before you take care of your own needs, I think establishes that. But the people, I love the people in our sport. I think it's just that and the friendships and stuff that you develop throughout. But I guess more pertaining to the college rodeo coaching aspect, it's about I think you go through in your coaching career, probably a lot of people that coach and have been in it a long time, you first start out as it's kind of all about me maybe. And then I think as you go through your coaching career, you start to figure out that it isn't, hopefully sooner than later. And then it is. It's all about the student athlete, but it's also about developing them. You know, that's the fun part. That's the part too where I think in our radio segment we talked that one time about, you know, is it the NLI? I mean
NIL.
NIL. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyways, what's that got for a bearing, you know, in your sport? Well, it doesn't, you know.
Yeah.
And the fact is you know, it's nice to have be in a sport where you know, people aren't going to just jump around for no, you know, money or anything like that. You know, that's one thing that, you know, I love about our sport. I think that the commitment and accountability and everything's still there, and not speaking anything negative about others, but I'm just saying that I like that about our sport. I like you know, my goal is to bring in young people, develop them as an athlete, you know, but more importantly as a person, you know, and kind of, I enjoy just as much having someone, you know, come back to visit that's been successful family and business wise, or than I do as someone that was a national champion coming back and saying, hey, you know, so it's about the people, and really enjoy that part.
I like to joke, even if rodeo did have NIL, they'd probably spend it all within the first few weeks of it anyway.
Right.
just taking care of equine athletes, or even just getting the summer circuit, entering summer rodeos or PRC rodeos as well. So yeah, NIL probably wouldn't go very far. I mean, it would help. But
yeah, I think if somebody gave you a new pickup, you probably run the wheels off it.
Yeah.
Trying to get to competitions and haul your horse here and there, and you're right. You're right. So it's probably a good thing we don't have that.
Yeah. Wrapping up the episode, Coach, what's your expectations for the 6 competing for Black Hills State and just for the college rodeo as a whole coming next week?
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't really like to do predictions on here, you know. I mean, we got some nationally ranked, you know, maybe even in the top 3 or 4 individuals, team probably, I don't know exactly where we're at, maybe 10, 15, you know, top, you know, nationally. It all goes away. You got to show up there, you know. So it's about, I don't know, probably phrase probably came from Coach Wooden book years ago, but it's really about doing what you're capable of doing, you know, and if they do that, that's going to be success to me. You know, I'll be happy for them, and I think they can hold their head up. Whatever the scoreboard says isn't going to matter near as much as they did what they were capable of getting done, and they were prepared to do it. You know, and that's what I want to see. I think that that's my goal for our individuals and our team is you know, be at their best, and you know, they're going to have to go be aggressive, and they're going to have to kind of push everything a little bit, but you still got to be smart, you know, and like I say, we're hoping that academic intelligence shows up there, but you still got to execute, you know, so you got to stay in your lane. You still got to do what you know how to do, what you've got in your arsenal. You can't, you know, it's not about pulling tricks out and trying things you never did or whatever. It's pushing yourself a little more, but I think that's what gets you to rise to the next level, you know, and so that's what I'm looking for. Is it's going to be a fun competition. It's a great opportunity for our student athletes, and it's a great event. If you get a chance to make it out there on that Saturday night, it's probably the best rodeo I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of them. Yeah.
No, I hear that the Saturday night short go for the Nationals is it's fun to watch and intense.
It just everything culminates there, of course, but you go, it's, you know, goes from 12th to 1st, and you don't have time to go get popcorn. I mean, it literally, things move fast, and it's one thing out there too, is if you don't move fast and do what you're supposed to do, you get fined. So, but the fact is make some money for the association, but the truth is that's why it's a professional run event, and that's why it's fun to watch.
No, it's about as close to the actual NFR you'll ever get without going to the NFR.
Well, and the other thing, not to interject, but the fact is I like to let our students know, and I think they're, you know, aware of the fact is if you're one of the top 2 or 3 out there at nationals, you have a really good chance of making a living at this this sport. You know what I mean? It's because there's going to be individuals there. Wasey Shala I don't know, he might be winning the all around right now in the world standings. He was there last year. You know, I mean, there's going to be that opportunity. If you want to make a living at this, you can probably do it if you're one of the top competitors out there, especially if you're a national champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, you can also watch all 5 performances because they'll be streamed nationally on ESPN3, from what I was told.
Right.
So there's also that option there. So you can watch the finals, and I'm sure that the Saturday night short go will also be under that umbrella as well on ESPN3. So you can catch the Yellow Jackets in action there for the College National Finals Rodeo. Coach, anything you want to say to friends and family that might be tuning on to the podcast, or any listeners, Black Hills State rodeo supporters, anything you want to say before we get you out of here?
Well, and I guess one thing is it does takes an army, I mean, fact is our support has been awesome this year and for the last several years, to be honest. And the Lantis family let us utilize their practice facility all year long, and again just jumped in there for a few days before the finals to kind of prepare again. And Black Hills State, the coaching staff there and Coach Norrie and faculty and staff there have been great as well. And the Will Antis Yellow Jacket Stampede, probably the best attendance we've had out there, to my knowledge. When I looked up there and seen the top rows, which we didn't get dusted off real well, were completely full because we have some lights behind them, so we didn't want to wash them off. But when you see that, it's going to be a good rodeo.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that place was packed.
Yeah,
especially the Saturday night, the short go. It was, like you said, to the ceiling.
Yeah,
packed. So
that's awesome to see. So we appreciate all the support. We can't do it without you, and so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Coach Lammers, thank you for taking the time on the podcast. Listen. I do appreciate it and taking the time, and especially when you guys are getting ready to head to the Casper finals as well. So anyways, that's Black Hills State University Rodeo head coach Glen Lammers joining us with our From the Bench podcast here on KDSJ Sports. Also, if you want to rewatch this episode as well as other episodes with our From the Bench podcast, just go to our YouTube channel at KDSJ-TV. Go under the live tab or under the podcast tab so you can rewatch this episode, share it with friends and family, and also like and subscribe our YouTube channel so you never miss another live sports broadcast as well as a From the Bench podcast episode. Also, thanks to our camera guy, Paul James, helping out again with KDSJ Sports as well. Damn sure could not do this without you at all for this sports journey that we're on. And, believe that's everything I have on my list. I'm your host, Clayson Davis, signing off with another episode of our From the Bench podcast. Join us again next week as we dive back into more baseball in the Northern Black Hills. We'll see you guys then.